For more behind-the-scenes content, download the Cardiff City Google extension for your home browser.
To purchase a pass for live matchday coverage on Cardiff City TV, visit the official Cardiff City FC website. Once logged into your Bluebirds Club account, navigate to Club TV and select Buy Packages. Select the pass you wish to purchase and click Buy Now. Next, fill in your payment details and click Submit Payment. Once your purchase has been successful, you will see this message. You can also check your purchase by clicking the Manage Your Subscriptions button. You now have instant access to live matchday coverage. Visit Club TV and select Live.
More's free in the box 1-0!
Live streams begin 1 hour before kickoff, and recommended desktop browsers are Mozilla Firefox and Google Chrome. You can also watch or listen on the go via the official Cardiff City app. For technical support, email Cardiff TV support at streamamg.com.
For more behind-the-scenes content, download the Cardiff City Google extension for your home browser.
Good evening, welcome to Cardiff City TV. As
Wilson, a little bit of space for Harry Wilson, strikes a goal! Oh, what a goal! Morrison, goal!
Good afternoon, welcome to Matchday Live, courtesy of Cardiff City TV. I'm Ashley James, your host this afternoon, as the Bluebirds play host to Preston North End, looking for a fifth win on the bounce, looking to close that gap to the playoff places yet further, and also looking for their first double over the Lily Whites since 1971-72, which feels about the length of time it's been since I've been in a pub, John. John Donovan alongside me this afternoon. Fixtures coming thick and fast at the moment, wins coming thick and fast. It was another very hard-fought victory in midweek, but a very welcome one.
It was indeed. First of all, Ash, I'm very pleased that it's warmer than last Saturday, and hopefully this is the last outing of the Liam Gallagher winter coat. But no, everything is pretty rosy at Cardiff City at the moment, and the phrase people are using is earning the right to play, and I think that's what Mick McCarthy's teams are doing. We've seen it at Rotherham in the first half. We saw it in the second half, resiliency against Barnsley. We even saw a little bit against Coventry last week in the first sort of 15-20 minutes perhaps, that Cardiff are winning those personal battles. Jason Perry spoke about it when you talked to him last week. Sometimes when you match up against teams, the first portion of the game is just getting on top of your individual opponent, showing him that you're going to be hopefully coming out on top that day. And I think that's what Cardiff are doing at the moment. They're doing the hard work first, they're winning the battles first. And then, you know, you've got the likes of players like Harry Wilson, as we saw in the week, whose quality can then take over. Cardiff do have difference makers. That's why it was so frustrating earlier in the season, Ash, that those difference makers weren't making a difference. Now, with Cardiff earning the right to play, they've got those individuals who can win a game for them, and that was the story in midweek.
Yeah, the individuals hoping to win the game for Cardiff this afternoon are the 11th that started in midweek. Cardiff are unchanged, perhaps unsurprisingly so, trying to ride that wave of momentum from the 4 consecutive wins. So it means Josh Murphy and Harry Wilson once again continue in the behind lone striker, Kiefer Moore. There are returnees on the bench though. Both Johnny Williams, hoping for his Cardiff City debut this afternoon, and Shea Ojo, both fit again to be included in the match day squad. So, John, fatigue, I was going to say, is going to start playing an issue. It is already becoming an issue, isn't it? Cardiff looked a little leggy in the first half, and perhaps confidence and momentum are perhaps overcoming in at the moment. So these returning bench options are really, really important, aren't they?
They are indeed. The games continue to come thick and fast. We're all looking at Wednesday, and that's Bournemouth, of course. Hugely tough game here this afternoon against Preston. Options off the bench are going to be key. I don't think Mick McCarthy will be scared of making a change. I think he wants to ride the crest of the wave at the moment. These players have earned the right to play again. But if he needs to make a change, he will make a change. We saw that at Barnsley very early in the second half. He's now got more options on the bench. I'm particularly pleased to see Shea Ojo back. I know Kiefer Moore will get all the votes of Player of the Year, and probably rightly so. He'd be my sneaky candidate, Shea Ojo. I think he's been absolutely fantastic. When Cardiff weren't in the best of form, when Cardiff perhaps need a little bit of a spark, normally it's Shea Ojo who provides something. So to have him back on the bench, and of course Johnny Williams, he's a ball carrier. Yeah, he does get injured, but the reason he gets injured, he carries the ball into areas, and particularly for this Cardiff City team, what could be particularly strong about Johnny Williams coming into the team at some point, he wins free kicks, and we all know just how good Cardiff can be at set pieces, particularly now with the 3 centre-halves. So Johnny Williams is a big option to have off the bench. So again, it all points to the feel-good factor at Cardiff City Stadium at the moment, but I'm with you, Ash. I think fatigue will be a factor, and I think Mick McCarthy will need to utilise that squad on a game-by-game basis and change it up if needed. And he's an experienced manager. He won't be afraid to change it up.
Looking at the fixtures we've had already under Mick McCarthy, I think coming back from a 2-0 deficit away from Barnsley, the late win at Rotherham, the battling qualities shown last week, there's been some player turnover the last 3 or 4 years at this football club. We've had managerial turnover at this football club, and we've now got a change in fortune. But some things don't change, and the core of this squad really know to roll their socks up, don't they?
They do. There's a lot of leaders in this group, and I would add Aidan Flint to that because I've been so impressed with him the last 2 games. I said on commentary with you last week, and I don't think I'm alone in saying this. I'm not trying to be controversial. I thought his Cardiff City career was over, perhaps, when he went out on loan. He's come back in. He's not Franz Beckenbauer sweeper playing balls everywhere, but he's a good, solid Championship centre half who's comfortable playing in the middle of that 3, and he's rolling his sleeves up. And Curtis Nelson and Sean Morrison, that 3 is I don't know if tandem's the right word, or is that just 2? Those 3 as a tandem are the key to everything good Cardiff City are doing at the moment. They're allowing Cardiff City to win the battles. They're allowing Dylan Phillips, who's a very good goalkeeper in his own right, but to come in a playoff chase when he hasn't played a lot of games, when Ali's been the number 1, and he's just having to do the bits and pieces because any balls that are coming into the box are being done by the 3 centre-halves. And you're right, there's leaders, there's core players throughout the team, and I go back to that phrase, Cardiff City are right to win these games.
I think a surprising fact of that trio of centre-halves might be as well that, and I mention it because we're going to hear from Joe Bennett, who's making his 350th club appearance this afternoon. I mention it because we unfortunately missed Sean Morrison and Aidan Flint's 400th in recent weeks, which are notable landmarks themselves. I think the surprising one of that, it might be that Curtis Nelson has more first-team appearances in his Football League career than either Sean Morrison or Aidan Flint. Curtis Nelson's up in the 430s, and we think of him as the youngest player of this group.
We do, and lest we forget, he was captain of teams previously, particularly at Oxford. There's just leadership in that trio. That's the word I was looking for. And I think that's been such a key factor in Cardiff City, doing the unglamorous parts of the job very well. I think those 3 have been absolutely excellent. And at the other end of the field, just to that point, I think Cardiff can test this back 3 of Preston today, because I think looking at the appearances they've had, it's quite a young back 3. There's a loanee in there. There's perhaps a full-back going in to play centre-half. I think Cardiff City, from set pieces today, with the form Kiefer Moore's in and with the 3 centre-halves, they can gain an advantage there. So it's not just about physicality. Of course it's not. And I think Mick McCarthy gets painted unfairly there, that he's this pragmatic Route 1 direct manager. No, there's some subtlety when it's needed. There's some quality when it's needed. But what he wants to do first and foremost is get the shape right and win the battles.
Jumped the gun a little bit there. We're going to talk about Preston.
My apologies.
In a couple of minutes. First up, we're going to hear from Mick McCarthy, and he's talking about what a relentless schedule this is for Championship football at the moment, but there's a hell of a lot better.
There's no magic wand that you wave. Just, I guess it's how we are with people. We've got the best out of them. We've managed to get a shift out of everybody, and I'm delighted with the players. The players, it's them that do it. We can only ask or demand of what we expect, and they produce it. We had a bit of luck on the way. James Collins missed a header after 15 minutes, and we 2-0 down against Barnsley. But I just think that shows the togetherness of the squad, the resilience that they've got. What the beauty of, and even more so the beauty of winning games is that we don't have to go into the training ground and try something else, try a different shape, try different variations of things. When it's going well, you can continue doing that. If that stops and you have to change it, well, then you have to get on the training ground. And that's when you can find a few weary bodies, especially, some of the big lads that we've got in the team, they're taking a real pounding. It's Saturday, Tuesday. I know we've got Wednesday next week, but then we play Saturday and we travel up to Middlesbrough. That's going to be a tough week for us. We're going well. And, with that, if I'm going well, and if Cardiff City want to keep me, that's great. If they don't, then if I'm doing well, I'm sure something else will come up. So that's the way it is. But you see, you're asking me those questions, I'll give you that answer. It's a bit like I'm not bothered. All I'm bothered about is beating Preston. That's my focus. And then we'll move on to Bournemouth, and then we'll move on. And if you win games and you do well, then your just rewards come. And that's all I can say. Yes, Harry, I said the game just opened up a bit. Actually, it was a fabulous diagonal ball from, I've only seen it again, from Perry to Aidan Flint, who'd stayed up, who nodded it down to Harry. And then when he cut inside on his left foot, you always fancied him hitting the target, but it was a fabulous goal. And of course, Vokesy, we were joking with Vokesy. Somebody said that was a real bit of quality. And I asked him what, but it was the somersault that was quality. I was going to fine him for that. Somebody said he was surprised to see that. I said, which surprised to see what? The quality of the volley or the quality of the somersault? So we've been ribbing him a little bit, but he's been brilliant, Vokesy, I have to say. The job he does in that midfield, the energy he gives us, and it's a leadership without being the captain. Just real leadership, going and getting the ball and disturbing them and breaking it up and giving it then to Harry and them. He's been fabulous. He's deserved that. I've been really pleased with him.
Welcome back. Mick McCarthy there talking ahead of today's game with Preston North End, which we are now about 20 minutes away from kickoff. Still joined by John Donovan. Will Volk singled out for some very special individual praise there from the manager. Somebody you've praised as well in commentary in recent weeks. Rightly so.
I think so, and I'm always careful how I say this because I play football to no great level at all. I play hangover Sunday morning football. I like to think I know a thing or two by watching for 30 odd years, and I think Will Vokes is someone that you and I talked about in commentary, Ash, previously, and I recognise him as a dogged midfielder who wins the ball off and then has a little bit of quality to his game, but certainly the quality comes through on occasions, but I don't want Will Vokes to be a midfielder who's having to always take the ball off the back four and spread 40-yard passes and be the main playmaker of the team, because I don't think that necessarily plays to his strengths. And I think what Mick McCarthy has come in and done is playing Will Vokes to his strengths. That dogged midfielder, win the ball first. You always describe it playing in a smaller radius than perhaps he was being asked to under Neil Harris. And he just looks very comfortable. He likes the battle. He likes the fight. And I'm sure Mick McCarthy enjoys that about him. A snowy night at Rotherham, a cold Tuesday night in front of an empty stadium at Luton, you always know Will Vokes is going to be up for the battle. So I think simplifying the game, allowing him to be that dogged midfielder in just a smaller space he has to cover, and then allowing and he has got a decent range of passing, and we know all about his shooting, allowing that to almost be the bonus facets of his game. I think just simplifying the game for Will Vokes has made him an indispensable member of this team.
Well, Cardiff don't make changes this afternoon, but Preston do, and Alex Neil has made some. They've reverted back to the 3-5-2 formation that won them their recent derby game with Blackburn Rovers. That means former Bluebird Greg Cunningham is back in at left wing back, and up top Alex Neil goes for two out-and-out strikers with a number 10 in behind in the form of former Welsh international Ched Evans, Emil Jacobson and Daniel Johnson. John, looks like they're trying to match us up. They won't be the first team to have done that in recent weeks, but they've gone with two out-and-out strikers to try and give the Cardiff back three a game, seemingly.
And we've seen that. We've seen Cardiff employ it under Neil Harris against Barnsley. If you play the two out-and-out strikers against the back three, it can cause difficulty. Certainly what it did, and Luton did it particularly well in the first half, almost from a defensive point of view, they stopped Sean Morrison on the right and Curtis Nelson on the left being able to step into midfield and create any sort of overload, which is something that with three at the back you want to exploit. Okay, Sean Morrison, Curtis Nelson, maybe again not the most natural ball players, but they have been doing it. They've been stepping forward, and that creates further options off the ball. Having those two strikers there maybe negates that a little bit, and it also just it gives the three centre halves something to think about. It's does Aidan Flint step out? Does he play as a sweeper? Is it an out-and-out man-for-man matchup between Nelson and Morrison and the two strikers? And then you've got the number 10 who's Johnson, isn't it? Who's playing in that pocket. Again, does that cause issues for Aidan Flint? Is it Will Vokes who drops in to take him? So it'll be another interesting matchup. But, it was against Coventry last week, and we saw in the first 20 minutes Cardiff City were caught a little bit cold with the change that Coventry made, playing a number 10, and how that affected the three centre halves. So I can see why Alex Neil has done it, but Cardiff City last week, Mick McCarthy made the changes, Terry Connon made the changes. They were subtle changes, but they worked, and Cardiff eventually wrestled that dominance in the middle third, which in the Championship is always the most important.
Yeah, and it looks like a 2-on-2 battle in that middle of the park this afternoon again, and as you've mentioned, Will Vokes and Marlon Park certainly won that in midweek. A Preston team, John, struggling for wins, just 2 in their last 8, but both of them have come away from home. Yet on the other end, they've lost some games to teams at the foot of the table that are really struggling for confidence, and Preston themselves look like a team, if you can get at them early, they're fragile.
Well, it's interesting, Ash. I exactly the same. Doing my research today, looking back through the fixture lists, certainly since January, they've lost some silly games. They have got those decent draw against Reading, a win against Blackburn, as you say, a win against Birmingham. But I was reading Alan Brown's comments in the press conference yesterday when he was in front of the media up in Lancashire, and what he said was, it was a strange transfer window for Preston in January, in that they actually brought quite a lot of players in. They don't do that. And he felt that maybe it's just diluted the core of the team a bit. You've got injuries to the like of Patrick Bauer, who's a natural leader in there. So yeah, Alan Brown was just saying that for once, Preston have brought players in to give them strength in depth. Maybe it's just disrupting them a little bit. But they're always a very workmanlike team. They like to play at a high tempo. Alex Neil's a manager I've got a lot of time for. This is going to be a tough encounter today. Yeah,
you're right. And having not done any transfer business in the summer and lost Patrick Bauer through injury and Ben Davies to Liverpool, of course, so lost two of their centre-halves, the two starting centre-halves, in fact. Switching attention back to Cardiff City then, John, and more good news. You were there for the Under-23s game on Tuesday, and also, and I think we're going to see some highlights as well here, a fine win for the Under-18s this morning, beating Swansea City at home. Taz Mayembe and Fraser Thomas on the score sheet in a 2-1 win. That's a good feeling all around this football club at the moment.
Well, that's always a phrase that sounds nice, doesn't it? Any level. Cardiff City beating Swansea City. Taz Mayembe played in the week in the game I watched, and he scored a goal playing upper level, and good to see him getting another goal today. It is. Everything just suddenly is coming together, but I wonder whether, because I'm a fan looking in, Ash, and I you read perhaps forums and you read media comments and you think that there's actually not players coming through. I've been fortunate this year to do commentary on the Under-23 games, and all of a sudden my eyes have been open. Maybe the pathway hasn't quite been there previously. There is talent in this setup. At Under-18 level, a couple of impressive wins. We saw goals a couple of weeks ago from their win against QPR, again at Swansea today. The Under-23s, 4 in a row, and they've been 4 games which they've dominated and played very good football. Playing a wing-back formation, spreading the ball around, very quick, the press is good, thoroughly impressive, and all of a sudden, don't believe perhaps things you've heard before. There isn't good youngsters coming through in Cardiff City. The academy are doing a great job. There's a lot of promise, so watch this space, and it's great to see.
We're talking of that pathway. We had Steve Morrison, the Under-23s head coach, on commentary with Mark Denham last weekend. Today, we've got head of academy coaching David Hughes on commentary, and let's hope he's just as much of a good luck charm. Your weekly reminder that you need to now switch over to from YouTube to the app if you want to watch this afternoon's game. You first need to buy a pass, of course, but you won't be able to watch the game here on YouTube. And before we go over to live coverage, we're going to have an interview with Joe Bennett, who will this afternoon make his 350th appearance in club football. We sent my colleague Will Pallow to chat to him. Now, Will is a multilinguist. He speaks fluent Portuguese, he speaks fluent Spanish, he speaks fluent French, and he's also learning Korean. But this week we sent him to deal with a Rochdale accent.
Thanks for joining us ahead of Preston, Joe. There must have been plenty of smiles on faces at the training ground this week after a 4th successive win.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think obviously Gaffer and TC have come in and done an unbelievable job, and unbeaten in 6, and then winning 4 on the trot against 4 difficult opposition, really, in tough games. They've all been really tough games. Not one of them has been easy, really. So yeah, a lot of happy faces the last few days, and hopefully that continues. Yeah,
as you say, another impressive performance with 3 at the back as well, and that seems to be a formation that suits you as well as anyone.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think I actually came as a wing back when I first came. I think Trollope signed me as a wing back, and we played that for a little while, and then been playing back 4 for a few years now. So it's nice just to get a little bit further up the pitch and trying out the forward lads with Kiefer and H and whoever's playing in that position. And yeah, try and get. I mean, I've not scored for a while, like before Rotherham, but it was nice to get a goal and contribute, definitely.
Yeah, and the formation must have definitely played its part in you getting forward to get that goal. And I still don't think anybody knows how you were able to see the ball in the snow, let alone head it home.
I think we were lucky that they actually changed the ball to a yellow ball. Otherwise, I would have been struggling. But no, it was a great pick out by Josh, and I just made the run hoping that, I mean, it was a difficult ball, but just made the run hoping that he could find us, and yeah, he did. And I think it was just if I keep my eyes open, it was a simple finish, I think, which no, I was happy with. Yeah.
You mentioned Preston, and you're going to be in line for your 350th career appearance this weekend. Does that come around quickly?
Yeah, it has, to be fair. It surprised me if someone mentioned it the other day, and no, it's a good little tally, and hopefully I can add a few more to that. I mean, I'm 30, so hopefully I've got a bit more time left, and hopefully with Cardiff I can add to that tally. And no, it's been good. I've enjoyed every minute of it while I've been here. I think I've played 160 games or something. So yeah, hopefully more to come. Yeah.
And finally, you mentioned wanting to continue that run on Saturday against Preston. And as we go back to Cardiff City Stadium, is it all about not resting on our laurels as we look to do that?
Yeah, definitely. I think the minute you relax, I think you get done definitely in this league, and everyone knows how quickly it can turn from, I think we won 4 under the previous manager and then went on to lose a few games. So it's important everyone's on their A game, and yeah, it's going to be difficult. Every game's really, really tough in this league, as everyone knows. So hopefully we can put in a good performance and carry it on. And yeah, I'm sure we can do that, yeah.
Top 5 in association with the Big Yellow Self-Storage Company.
Free kick taken by Whittingham into the area. Chance in front of goal. It's headed in at the far post, and it's 3-1. Roger Johnson has scored his first ever goal for Cardiff City. 1-2 Thompson. Oh, that's an excellent ball. What to do still Whittingham. Oh, gets past Alexander. Chopra. Second of the night. Cardiff City score 1. Goal number 21 of the season. Michael Chopra appears again by
as well to use his body and get away with it. Cardiff can break in numbers here. Wilson's in space. Moore uses Ojo. Ojo still going on his right foot. Ojo! 1-0 to the Bluebirds. What a goal that was.
ruthless in transition, Cardiff. Starts with Joe Rawls in his own area, reads the ball forward with a good break header, as you said, Mark, and then from then on it's just crisp from Cardiff. Battles his way forward, he's going forward, he could score here, he does score! What a goal from Kenneth O'Hare, 2-0. It's an exceptional piece of individual skill from Kenneth O'Hare, absolutely remarkable from the young man. Picks up the ball on halfway, back to 3 defenders. He backs his own strength, his own pace and his own ability, and just bulldozes his way through 2 challenges in the midfield area, and then has all the composure in the world to bear down on goal, draw the keeper and lift the ball delicately up and over.
good evening. Welcome to Cardiff City TV.
Now Wilson, a little bit of space for Harry Wilson. Strikes a goal. Oh, what a goal. Morrison, goal!
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to MATCHDAY Live.
And of course, so 6 games unbeaten, 4 wins on the bounce following the midweek success at Luton Town. And now another home fixture today against the Preston North End side that have been good on the road but have been inconsistent with results overall of late. Dave, thanks for joining us again today. Nice to have you back. One thing that hasn't been inconsistent, I must begin with, is some of the recent results in the academy, especially at the higher age levels. Another good win today for the 18s.
Yeah, very pleasing, but equally no surprise. And I don't say that in an arrogant manner. There's good players in the academy. There's some good talent. There needs, as all of the staff will know, it needs patience. The development takes time. It's not an overnight success. And yeah, it was a nice result today for the lads to beat Swansea. As we discussed earlier, we win the game. Our players still have talent. You know, if we didn't win the game, we'd still believe our players have talent. And so it's important we don't get caught up in too much and embroiled in the outcome of the game. But it does reinforce. Look, it's great for the kids. It's a nice feel for them. They've won a couple of games on the bounce. More importantly is the style of play and how they do that. And as the coaching team, Matt Bloxham, who does an outstanding job with the under-18s, will be probably reinforce. It's you don't get too high with the highs and lower the lows. It's a game at the end of the day, and it's a long-term process. There were some very, very good performances today. There have been earlier in the season when the guys have lost. And the most important factor, as I've mentioned, is that the players took great delight in it and they enjoyed it. You know, and winning games can be difficult.
Brilliant. Well, it's good to see. We've been enjoying watching the games on and commentating on them for Cardiff City TV. It's a first-team fixture today, of course. The Preston North End in the all-green strip here in the capital seem to be, we're going by this graphic anyway, seem to be playing 3-5-2, 2 up top and 3 at the back. Greg Cunningham, of course, playing left wing back. Quick return to Cardiff City Stadium for Greg. Only made 14 appearances for the Bluebirds, but a very popular guy on and off the field, and obviously did a little bit of commentary with us earlier in the season as well. So good to see Greg back today and wish him well. But as far as Mick McCarthy's unchanged 11 are concerned, it's all about looking for that 5th win on the bounce today. It's an unchanged side, as I said. A couple of changes on the bench. Shea Ojo and Johnny Williams amongst the substitutes today. Bluebirds 7th in the division. And looking up with confidence, that's for sure.